I am Vero, and this is Modern Immigrant. Welcome, everybody, to a new episode of Modern Immigrant. In today's episode, I would like to call it a special one. And no, it's not because the other ones are not special. They're all special, and I'm always excited to share them. But the episode that we're sharing today is not necessarily about one immigration story, but it's about an organization that is supporting many people in the community, including undocumented immigrants. I had the amazing opportunity to meet Jason, the Chief Operating Officer of the Oyate Group, and I had the amazing pleasure to also learn about Oyate Group. The Oyate Group is a nonprofit organization based in New York, in the Bronx, that supports people in accessing different resources and services. And this is an organization that tries to fill in the gaps that we have in our society. In this interview, we focus on one of their amazing programs where they help undocumented immigrants in accessing summer internships. We discuss why creating opportunities like this ones are so important for the community of undocumented immigrants. We talk about the barriers that many undocumented youth face when they're trying to seek internship or any other job opportunities based on their legal status. The Oyate Group created this amazing space where undocumented immigrants and youth can access different job opportunities with an amazing partnership that they did in a university. Allowing immigrants to access these internships can really have an impact in their future, in the job that they will be doing, in the opportunities that they can find, and in the skills that they're building. This interview will inspire you and it will motivate you, and it will also give you some ideas on what you can do from your own position, from your own field, to encourage others to help, to listen, to communicate, and to provide a solution to a lot of the challenges that we're starting to see and a lot of the services that are needed in the community. Again, thank you so much for being here. Don't forget to subscribe if you're watching us on YouTube or if you're listening in any of the podcast platforms that we're at. Remember to also share this episode if you found value, and also follow us on Instagram at Modern Immigrant, or check out our website, modernimmigrant.net. Thank you so much one more time for being here. So, welcome everybody to a new episode of Modern Immigrant. I'm really excited to have this sort of like a special episode today. We have a little bit of a different topic we're going to be talking about, not necessarily an immigration story, but a really important project and mission behind this. So, Jason, welcome to Modern Immigrant.
Veronica, thank you for having me and just featuring our organization and the work that we do. It's definitely appreciate it.
Of course, I'm really excited to get to know more about this, and for the listeners to also get involved and learn. I think it's always important. So why don't we start by hearing about you? Introduce yourself if you would like, and tell us a little bit about what you do at the Oyate Group, and correct me if I'm not pronouncing it right.
No, Oyate, you're spot on with the pronunciation. So I am the Chief Operating Officer at the Oyate Group. Oyate is a Lakota Sioux word that means the people. And so our founder and our CEO, Tomas Ramos, our vision, his vision is whatever type of work that we are doing, it is for the people. And just having that kind of Native American, distinction is really important because this land originally was theirs. So for us, it's always important to pay homage to, our forebearers, and just having the luxuries that we have today is on the backs of other people. So just a little bit of context for the word Oyate, which is a little bit, most people aren't familiar with it. The Oyate Group, we are a nonprofit organization, 501(c)(3), and we're an anti-poverty organization. And a lot of the work that we do is surrounded just by getting resources into the hands of people that need it the most. So for us, we recognize stopgaps in the community and we try to fill it as fast or as best as we could. So for instance, during the pandemic, we were able to help vaccinate 40,000, New Yorkers, mostly in the Bronx, Washington Heights, Harlem, uptown, so to speak. And so we were just able to do that through linkages and partnerships with organizations, other nonprofits. And so we were able to partner with two specific clinics, Morris Heights Health Center and VIP Community Services. And so at a time when, vaccine hesitancy or just the rollout from the federal government wasn't being that there was a lot of bureaucratic nightmare, so to speak. We were there to really get shots in the arms of people on the ground level, in community centers, literally on the street corners, and just really doing grassroots work in order to ensure that people not just got shots in their arms, but also that they were educated about their choices in terms of the vaccines. So we did that for about a year and a half. And then we wound down our vaccine program, and most folk looked at us as like a public health organization,
Mm,
which we sort of are. And then they were like, kind of, what's next? And so for us, for me, Tomas, Cyril, Lee Marie, that's our executive team. We have always been grounded in how can we create resources
mhm,
for not just the people, but for youth in particular. And so, what we're here to talk about today is our internship program that we had during the summer, but they were specifically for undocumented youth. And so a lot of what our ideas are based on, and just empowering youth and mentoring them, stems from our ability to just understand the dynamics of what's happening on the ground level, and just really meeting people where they are, but also getting their input. So we recognize that there is a stopgap in terms of you know, there is the city does offer what's called summer youth internship program, employment program. I'm sorry, and
mhm,
that's city funded. But undocumented youth, unfortunately, are unable to access this resource, which to me is a little bit off the wall, so to speak, because these youth are they're able to come to school, right, or just have access to the DOE, which is federally, publicly, and city funded. They're able to access services just in terms of free meals and things of that sort. But yet they're unable to put back into the city in terms of just getting resources and skills for themselves, getting job opportunities. So for us, it was really perverse, where an entire swath of public school youth are unable to access this really critical resource, especially as we're coming back from the pandemic, where
mhm,
families are unable to provide for themselves in the way that they were once before the pandemic, and they were just barely making ends meet. So we
yeah.
recognize that this is just not affecting the youth; it's affecting, holistically and systematically entire communities, entire families, and it marginalizes them. And so
Yes.
we understood that we needed to step up and provide. Yeah, we can't help everyone, but maybe we can start small. We can scale it,
Yeah.
and who
Yeah.
knows where funding can come from, or just being able to have a larger conversation where these youth and these families need to be included, is our perspective.
That
And I know I just said a
is
lot there, Veronica.
no. This is wonderful. I just have so many questions because, yeah, so the Beyond Rising Internship Program, correct, is the name that started this summer. And yeah, some of the questions I have for you were regarding that background information around undocumented immigrants and the challenges that they face, and how is this program kind of filling those gaps. And I know you mentioned a little bit about how you were able to provide internships, but how did that look like in the actual kind of work that they were able to do?
Yeah, so we were able to partner with Fordham University, and so they have a community engaged office, which one of our good friends, Suri Miranda, she was able to help us. She is actually in management, in that she's the director of that particular office. And we have, me and Tomas and Cyril and Lee Marie have worked with her in our previous capacities in our older jobs. And one thing that I have to say, to everyone that's listening, is really important to tap into your network, because that is how we can't do everything. Oyate, we, as much as we strive to do everything in terms of providing resources, we can't do
Mhm.
everything. But we understand that we have folk who are in other places that share our same vision, and that are able to really help us tackle our efforts, or just our mission and our goals. And so Suri, she reached out to us, and she said, "Listen, I know that we had once had a conversation about, doing something of this sort, which is the internship program."
Yeah.
And we started to meet with upper levels of Fordham University, and they said, "Listen, we would love to partner with you all. The only thing is we don't have it in our budget in order to pay these young people, but we can have placements for them." So we went through back and forth a few times, which was really good conversation because it really helped us to get the nuts and bolts of the details of how the program would
Mhm.
be structured. And so they were able to have, about 10 to 15 different placements for the youth that that we wanted to place. And it ranged from working at the dean's office to working with
Nice.
other smaller CBOs, from working in the office, the community engaged office as
Mhm.
well. So there were various placements throughout, not just Fordham University, but the
Mhm.
larger community as well. And during the summer, the youth were able to also uh, have special projects which they did with Fordham. One of which they were creating filters for classrooms for DOE schools. So these
Yeah.
things really gave them not really hands-on experience, but also built certain skill sets for them.
And
Um,
also connections, where you were talking about like the importance of that connection in the community, like reaching out and knowing people that are at different levels, like for them to be able to, be at a university. I'm sure that's going to help them in their future because they're right now in high school, correct?
yes. So
Yeah.
let me talk a little bit about the youth themselves. We
Yeah.
had 20. We had 20 of them, and they were between the ages of 16 and 18. But the overwhelming majority of them were juniors or rising juniors. Which and so the way that we paid them was through gift cards. So per week, the structure of the program was Monday through Thursday, they would be at their placements from 10 to 4, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Okay.
And during Fridays, they would actually come to Oyate's main offices, which is in the Bronx, in the South Bronx. And then there, we would actually help them build financial literacy skills.
Mm.
And then we would also take them on recreational, trips, which for us is really important. People are like, well, you're just taking them on trips. No, it's not just that. It's also
Mm.
building camaraderie among them and also giving them experiences. So our culminating trip was actually going to Six Flags Great Adventure, and many of them had never even been to New Jersey. So being able to just provide that experience for them, and they were hyped up all day, literally, all day. We got at our offices at 8, and we came back I think like 9 at night. And the energy that these young people had was just was remarkable because
Mm.
for me, just to see the smile on their faces
Mm.
and just providing the fact that listen, your car fare is covered, your meals are covered, you don't have to worry about any of these things. Those little things do a lot because that helps build not just camaraderie with us and them, but also it helps to illustrate to their families like, hey, like we're investing and
Yeah.
we're here for the long haul. We're not just doing this just for the glitz and the glam and let's take
Mm.
pictures and post them on social media. For us, that's not important. It's just like what can we actually do at the root level in order to really develop, not just people but young people.
Yeah, and I'm sure this is going to be like an opportunity and a summer that they're always going to remember how meaningful is it was for them. And I wonder if you have like both kind of like the feedback or the what did you hear from them about the experience, or maybe what was the result like after this internship program for them?
Yeah, so we went through a couple of just small data points, but per day we had something like 95% on-site attendance,
Yeah.
and then about 90% of them said that they developed a new skill set that they hadn't had before. And then toward the end of the program, they said Lee Marie, who was our project manager, our project director.
Yeah.
Um, they the overwhelming majority of the young people are Spanish speaking dominant,
Okay.
and Maria is bilingual. So, and unfortunately, I'm not. So they developed a really strong rapport with her, and the feedback was, they call her Miss. They say, "Hey, Miss, can we come back in the fall?" And she's like, "Okay, yeah, that's great." She was like, "Yeah," because they're like, "We would love to do our homework here and just hang out with you." And so it's just
Yeah.
building on top of just the experience they had in the summer, and that was our goal all along,
Mm.
because we are developing, or we have plans to develop a mentorship program, and this can just be an offshoot of that. And so for us, we're really excited that we have these young people because now it's, especially if they're 16, 17, 18 years old, building skill sets to really develop just them and in terms of their careers and where their trajectory is headed and their projection and things of that sort. So
Right.
we're super excited about that, that they got something from it, not just monetarily, but also
Yeah.
that hey, that we're investing in human capital, because for us that is the most important thing. How do we
Yeah.
set it up for the next generation, so to speak?
Yeah, that is so beautiful and important. The fact that they were saying that they want to come back, right? Like they want to have this space, they need that space and that community. It can be very challenging. I have recorded a ton of interviews of undocumented immigrants that is that like, especially when I have heard that when they graduate high school they hit like a wall, right? It's like, okay, now how do I apply for school? Now how do I get a job? How do, like, all of these things that maybe in high school were a little bit given, like, I can access education, then it's like, what do I do with this, right? So organizations like the Oyate Group sounds like can really support them and can really give them options to move forward, and kind of like you were talking about, like attack or tackle the root issue. Yeah, I wonder if there's anything else that you're going to be doing or working in the future, that could maybe in the long term help with this huge issue that we have with immigration.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I don't think we ever saw ourselves as being at the forefront of the immigration issue. But
right.
again, I think that's what makes our organization unique. Is just whatever issue there is, we don't dictate to the community what, or prescribe rather what the solutions are, or things of that
Mhm.
sort. We have to work in tandem with the community to really understand, to help them advocate, because we can't be advocates because none of us are in the position, at least our leadership is in the position to advocate the way that these young people can. And so
Mm,
for us, it's definitely being able to help them develop those advocacy skills, because this program that we're doing, it's an advocacy skill. It's something
yes.
that we can bring to all levels of hopefully government, but other nonprofits, other organizations, institutions that are doing this similar work, but don't have that platform or want to have that platform.
Right.
So for us, it's just really coalition building and amplifying the voices of these young people, because that's what's really important. Because in all this fire and everything that's happening on the national level, the voices of the people that are really being affected are not being heard, at least in my opinion. And
Mhm.
that's what really needs to take place, and that's what needs to take hold, is just amplifying these voices more. Matter of fact, all the time.
Yes. Thank you for saying that, Jason. I think that's what I wanted the listeners to hear and to take away, really, that uplifting, right? That community, and giving them the tools that they need. I wanted to ask, as we wrap up the interview, how can people connect and get involved in your organization and in this kind of advocacy effort? And even if it's not in your organization, like maybe some kind of tip that you can give the listeners that want to do a work towards supporting communities, undocumented immigrants, and so on.
Yeah. So, for us, supporting us would just be going to our social media handle, the Oyate Group, whether it be on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. We're there. And then also our main site as well. Our website has our annual report, and just the things that we've done so far, which is it's quite exhaustive, but it's too much to go through right now. But definitely check us out on our social media handles and our website. Um, and I think what you indicated about how can people get involved. We're just starting in this work, and I think in this particular layer of the work, and so we're still trying to get our feet wet and just kind of understand what is happening on the ground level. So I think the most important thing for me, in our organization rather, and what we do, is being able to listen to the voices on the ground level. It takes a lot of patience, it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of effort, but I think in this world where we are today, we live in echo chambers, and if we just if we just step out of that echo chamber, and we're really able to have conversations with human beings, with people, and not be reactive
Mm,
in that moment in time, because I know a lot of things get people heated. There's a lot of anxiety. There's just a lot of passion that comes in, and there should be, but everyone have their life experiences and they have their opinions, and it may not be valid to you, but those life experiences shape the way that our perspective is, and the way that we see the world. So for me, it's important to really set a table,
Mm.
and listen to folk, whether we agree with them or not. That is, for me, is the best approach, because if we didn't take that approach, we wouldn't be where we are today. So it's really important to just, I know it sounds cliche, but the older I get, the more I realize that cliches are true. You have to keep an open mind. You really, really do. Cliches are cliches for a reason.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that. I always repeat in the interviews and in Modern Immigrant that, you're not alone. And that sounds really cliche, but that's the feedback I receive when people listen to these stories. And what you're sharing is really, we need to be here, and we need to listen, and we need to sit down and agree and try to agree or try to understand. I think the only way to really start to tackle the issues is listening. So I appreciate you saying that. And I feel really grateful to have been able to connect with your organization and learn more about the work you do, because as much as I talk about immigration and share about immigrant stories, I always want to also provide services and places where immigrant can go and reach out for help or just information. Sometimes it's just hard to find places where we can connect. So are you only based in New York, just to kind of double check?
Yes, I mean,
Yeah.
we have ambitious goals, and so
Not only, I shouldn't have said only. That's a
yeah,
lot
no,
being based in New York, but yeah.
I mean, New York is the melting pot. But yes,
Yeah.
we are we're a New York City organization. But hopefully, as long as we continue to do the great work that we have been doing, hopefully, hey, one day, who knows, maybe we'll be on a national level.
Yes, that sounds amazing. I'm going to make sure I add all the links in the description of this episode
So,
so people can go check it out and follow and support no matter where they at. I think like just learning from what other organizations are doing is really important. And
right.
Jason, thank you one more time for wanting to come to Modern Immigrant and share about the work you do.
No, Veronica, thank you so much. Truly appreciate the effort and the opportunity to speak with you. Let's definitely keep in touch, because I think there's great things that we'll continue to be doing.
100%. Thank you so much. And thanks everyone for listening and watching.
Thank you.